You won't win. I've always found it best not to look into the past.
Okay, you got a plan, or shall I just stay duck and cover?
My plan was to drive us away.
Well, your plan sucks.
At some point, we all have to choose between what the world wants you to be and who you are. I made my choice. I'm done running. Here's what's gonna happen.
Natasha, don't slouch.
I'm not slouching.
You're going to get a back hunch.
Listen to your mother.
Oh my God, this...
Up.
All
Listen.
right, enough. All of you.
I didn't say anything. That's not fair.
All right, here's our last review for this episode, Black Widow, directed by Kate Shortland. And this is the long waited for standalone Black Widow feature, which came out after her character died in Avengers Endgame. So obviously we're going backwards in time. This actually takes place immediately following Civil War, chronologically. Yeah. So she's kind of on the lam. She'd broken some laws. She's on the being hunted by the William Hurt's character. R.I.P. William Hurt, by the way.
The late, great.
So she ends up reconnecting with her past. Her younger sister, played by Florence Pugh, who I am deeply charmed by as an actress, and this character particularly is quite a lot of fun. And she reconnects with her kind of a family that she'd once had way back in the halcyon days of the 1990s. I remember being a kid in the 90s thinking, someday when I'm old, I'm going to hear like a Muzak version of Smells Like Teen Spirit in an elevator, and I'm going to want to kill myself. Well, a really sort of dirgy ballad version of Smells Like Teen Spirit opens this movie, and the first act is steeped again in this 90s nostalgia that's been going on. And it's bittersweet for me, because like I say, it just, I see what you're doing it well, but you're making me feel old and sad right now, so stop it. I actually was surprised, because I'd heard a lot of lukewarm stuff about Black Widow, the movie, at how much I enjoyed the movie. But there's a pretty large but, because I think they forgot one crucial thing about the Black Widow character in the making of this movie. And that is this. Black Widow is not a superhero. She is a human being, right? If you prick her, she will bleed, okay? And by the end of this movie, where she's being thrown by explosions and falling out of the sky without a parachute and gliding through the debris and saving people during free fall before she figures out even how she's going to safely land. No. That's what a superhero does. That's a Thor sequence. That's an Iron Man sequence. That is not a Black Widow sequence. That is, like, even within the realm of Marvel, ludicrous. That said, do the nuts and bolts of the movie work for me? Actually, yes, they do. Until the, like, gobsmacking silliness of the legitimate climactic air battle at the end, I think it mostly works quite well. Which why that ending is kind of a letdown. I still was smiling and laughing just at sort of like the ludicrousness of it in a certain degree, but they kind of start in a place which feels tangible and real, and they end in a place that is none of those things. And that's kind of a less than inspiring journey overall. But Rachel Weisz as her mom and the guy from Stranger Things,
David Harbour.
David Harbour, as this guy who's got this real ego and obsession with, he wants to think of himself as the Soviet mirror to Captain America, and living in the past, the way the whole movie is. He wants to rekindle his former glory or remind everybody of his former glory. All of that works. The dynamic between Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson and the performance between the two of them, love it. I love that she calls her out on her superhero poses, and I love that they have the girly sister bond, even though they're trying, it seems, not to have it. They just love each other. They just do. Doesn't matter. Do they start fighting? Of course they do. And, are there catty back and forths? Of course there is. But it's well done. So, it's weird because I guess I'd have to in the end say I'm a little mixed about the movie, but overall it actually was kind of different enough that I was excited and enjoyed watching it. I think it ends up somewhere in the middle of the list more than towards the bottom of this list for me, but I'd heard a lot of negative things, so I'm more than willing to hear a second opinion.
It's high for me, actually. Like, I really, really liked it. The stuff at the end didn't bother me as much, but as I listen to you talk to it, I'm like, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I totally get that point. That does make sense. And it's the double-sided coin of it. I love that they showed shit happening to her.
Yeah.
Like, when Taskmaster shows up and almost blows her off the bridge, like, what the fuck? Like, she didn't see it coming, right? Like, she's not always one step ahead of everybody, although she's one step ahead of Thunderbolt Ross. There's moments where she's surprised and never, but then sometimes some of those falls that she takes, like when she falls into shit, I'm like, oh, that looks brutal. But then I'm like, how does she get up? Because you're right, she's not a superhero. So I love that they show her getting hurt, but then sometimes it's so much that you're like, how the hell does she keep getting back up?
Yeah.
That aside, it really felt like the same realm as Winter Soldier for me.
Right.
It's more the espionage type take on stuff because they're not superheroes, with the exception of Red Guardian a little bit, and then whatever Taskmaster has going on there. I liked that reversal. I know that got some blowback too, that when the helmet came off and oh, what, now they made Taskmaster a woman? I thought they did a great job of using that character from the comics in a way that really fit in nicely with this story arc.
Well, and it tied into Black Widow's red in her ledger, right?
Yeah, exactly. And give me Ray Winstone anytime.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just put him in every movie and I'll be happy.
I mean, he can play a really nice guy and he can play a really bad guy, but this is a really punchable guy. He is super hateable in this movie, which is what you want out of your villain, right? It's got to be satisfying to see him get his, finally get his payback.
I like how they kind of stepped up what happened to the Widows after Natasha gets out. The whole idea of this kind of very specific kind of mind control that was not around when she was there, that kind of helps explain if you need it. She got out, and after that happened, he kind of turned things up a notch. So it's no, it's not just oh, I want to get out and I'll leave.
Right.
I thought they moved that in really, really well. And I also, maybe it's a small thing, and I think it's in part because we get this movie after Black Widow sacrifices herself in Endgame, but in the credits, they don't have the big flashy animated credits like Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, where things are silhouetted in visual art, and it's nope, just roll the credits.
And she did.
And I appreciated that tone at the end in a way. It's because you get to watch her in this moment knowing what's to come. And also Julia Louis-Dreyfus in the end credit scene. Yeah, sure, I'll take that too.
I have not seen the Hawkeye TV series, but I guess we get more Florence Pugh in that as well. So I should probably get on that.
Yeah, you should.
Like I said at the beginning of the review, I was very charmed by Florence Pugh. I don't know if you've seen Midsummer.
I haven't.
She's amazing in that movie, and she's also amazing in this movie, but they're two very different things. So those are the first two things that I clocked, at least seeing her in, and I'm impressed. Here's a question, though. the whole Red Room assassin training thing. The fact that once they finished their espionage, in America and they came back, that the mother and father handed these two girls over to that school and basically walked away from them for years, kind of, I think, detracts from the strong family bond that they're trying to maintain here. Especially when you learn that they have like forced hysterectomies as part of it, and that a significant percentage don't survive the training. And it's not like they were hanging out at Christmas time or visiting their parents in the in-between. I thought that was a weird choice, a weird kind of dehumanizing choice. Like, if the whole movie's about this family recovering the bond, then I think a conversation, at the very least, is owed there.
Yeah, like, maybe you can cut Melina, Rachel Weisz's character, a little bit of slack because she's been shot in the plane and she's kind of carted off right away.
Yeah.
But Red Guardian, like, David Harbour's there talking the kids down, setting them up so they can come in and give them the tranquilizers. Like, that's... Yeah.
That's
But I
not
guess
bad
we
parenting. That's
eventually
evil.
find out that he's been thrown into prison, but we don't know what that timeline is. So, like, yeah.
I just think from a writing standpoint, I would have either changed that or I would have acknowledged that moment, because that's no small thing. That was the moment that the family separated, and the Florence Pugh character, she was younger, so it was more traumatic for her. But Scarlett Johansson seemed to know this was coming, and I feel like she should kind of have more resentment for her parents than she actually does in the movie. I mean, I guess in the end of the day, I remember asking a friend who'd been really ill-treated by his parents how he dealt with it, and he just answered, "They're my parents."
Yeah.
There's no other answer, right? Like, the most important thing to remember about your parents is that there's nothing you can do about them. So...
Well, and I guess maybe that's part of it, too, from them. I'm not trying to defend it, because I do agree with you. It's like, they're not their parents. Like, she doesn't know who her real parents even are. But I guess it's the closest thing that she was able to have to it. So maybe that's definitely, because I know some people who are way more attached to their found or forced family than their biological family. So.
Oh, yeah.
But in terms of the mom and dad, maybe it's easier for them. It's like, well, they're not our kids.
Yeah. But, like, the movie narratively wants us to believe that they care about them, too. So, I don't know. It's just strange.
Yeah.
Changing the subject, though, watching it with my kids, there was a scene that really, really upset my younger son. Can you guess what it was?
The pig?
It was Rachel Weisz playing with this pig. They're learning about mind control is really evil. And again, the fact that she's involved with the mind control studying when she and her daughters have been victims of it. So gross. But yeah, she has this pig that she asks to stop breathing. And then she continues having the conversation, and the pig gets shaky, and the pig falls over. And I saw my son's hand went to his chest. He did not like that at all.
Yeah.
She saves the pig. But it's a strange moment. Like,
yeah, because the response is like, oh, they still had a few seconds before it would have been anything serious. I think, and maybe I'm just going to talk in this out loud in the moment. I haven't thought about it too much, but like at first I felt like in terms of standalone movies, especially ones that go and do stories retroactively to fit stuff in, I feel like it's far more successful than Captain Marvel. But then I wonder now, as I'm thinking that out loud, that is that in part because we've had more time with Black Widow in the other movies, and so we feel like we know Black Widow better, that we can go back and do this little fill-in one shot, and I felt like it was a more successful job because we just have more stuff to fill in for the character.
It has elements of being an origin movie, but it's not an origin movie. It's a standalone Black Widow adventure, and it benefits from that. Yes, absolutely. Is that good enough on Black Widow? Is there anything else you wanted to say about ScarJo's farewell from the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I'm curious to see, because there was some, legal stuff that happened with the release because of COVID, and it was like Disney Plus and movie theater, and did that break contract? And it seems like all that stuff is sorted out. I'm curious to see, and I hope that even if it's not like her character, but she's been a part of these movies and so many of them, I really hope that she's involved going forward, like whether that's as a producer or like, I don't know if she'd ever direct. I've never gotten any indication from print material or interviews that that's something that interests her, but I wonder if there's a way that she's still actually going to be involved in some of these movies, even if it doesn't mean some kind of return in a multiverse angle or something like that.
Well, and again, these are doors that have been kicked down. If ScarJo wants back in, she can come back in.
They'll find a way.
Yeah.
They'll do like a further prequel, or they'll do a different prequel.
Or, yeah, another version of her, or like it's, again, like where we started with this episode, death kind of doesn't matter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But I don't know, I thought this one was underrated.
Yeah, I really, really liked it, and watched it. Loved watching with my kid. Like, for them to watch a really strong female taking the lead on it, like, yeah, it's pretty satisfying.
And in a way, like, that never occurred to me in Captain Marvel, right? But it occurred to me all the time in Black Widow.
And I think it's because she's the only woman in the Avengers, and she's finally getting her own movie.
Maybe. We just knew her
Hawkeye
more.
didn't get a movie, but he eventually got a TV show, so he did get his time to shine eventually. But everyone else had their own stuff. She didn't, so maybe that's why it feels a bit more satisfying.
She was due, and she got her due, damn it.